Hey everyone, it's Phil again. Like I said last week, this is a special episode, and we'll be getting another one soon because tonight and the episode, if you're listening to this on the podcast in 2 weeks, I am talking to author Carrie Harris about some of her Marvel novels. Hello, how are you,
Hello.
Carrie?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. I figured in this first one we would talk about the Ghost Rider book, which is Unleashed, but first I wanted to get in a little bit of background. So it seems like you wrote around a certain comics storyline, so it's I know you have to be a big comics fan, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I read comics when I was a kid. Um, but I lived in a small town, so we had the bookstore with the single spinny rack. So I would always miss issues, because this
Yeah,
was back in the dark ages. You couldn't just look them up online.
same.
And so, I got used to filling in the blanks for myself. And I wrote fanfic before it was cool. I wrote X-Men fanfic in which I was next door neighbors with Kitty Pryde. And it was the Kitty and Carrie adventures.
Oh,
And,
nice.
and we went, we did things, and there were boys.
So, do you remember what you started out? What was like the first thing you read?
Um, oh, well, I mean, I started out. I think my first comic was actually an Archie comic. I read Archie and I read Garfield, and then it was X-Men because of the cartoon. And Ghost Rider came fairly close afterwards because I come from a family of bikers.
Oh,
And so I thought they would think the bike was cool, and I thought the bike was cool. Um, so that's what drew me to Ghost Rider. So I was kind of lucky that I've gotten to write two of the universes or characters that I really really like. They were my first loves when it came to superheroes.
hmm. I, and again, I could, like I said, I could tell you were a comic fan, and this is a great story. You know how I could tell this is a great story when I read stories like this, like novels about like superhero comics, and I'm like, man, this makes me want to go back and read the comics. And this is exactly what it did. I was like, oh yeah, I remember this storyline. I'm like, I want to go back and read this now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think that's one of the things about being a fan as well as a writer is that you get to um you get to scratch your own itch because I want more of those stories myself. Um but hopefully bring some of the things that people love about those characters to the page.
And it has to be a cool job because it's just like you get to sit down and be like, no, honey, I have to read comics for my job right now. Okay, it's research. Okay,
Oh yeah, yeah. My life is really tragic. I watch Disney Plus and I'm like, hey, I'm working.
are you watching Hawkeye right now?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah, yeah. The latest episode was
Oh yeah, the end. Yeah, all of it. I love all those series, but yeah, Hawkeye might be my favorite so far.
I really love the comics
Oh yeah.
that it's based on, but they did. I mean, they changed a lot, which of course you need to do. So it's been fun to watch how things have changed, and I have so many theories. It's kind of ridiculous.
Would you? I was gonna say, I know you write all these novels, but like if the opportunity ever presented itself, would you write any comics? I would love to see this novel in like comic form.
I really would love to do comics. I've done a graphic novel,
Oh,
and I really like that form of storytelling. So that's actually, I think, on my wish list for 2022. If I could do a comic, that would make me very happy.
since you've done the graphic novel, I've heard from a few people, and it's like that writing a book and writing a comic are two completely different like skill sets almost.
Yeah, yeah. But I think the graphic novel has, of course, it doesn't have the page limitations that you have in a comic, so it's slightly different. But I think part of the reason I really want to do it is because I felt like by the end of the graphic novel, I started to know what I was doing, and then it was over, and I'd like a chance to do it right.
Okay, if you could write any character in Marvel Comics, who would it be?
Well, so the one that I really want to pitch is Dazzler miniseries,
Ooh.
because I love Dazzler. I feel like she hasn't really gotten the time to shine that she deserves. Literally shine. Ha ha. Yeah, I'm sorry, that was so awful.
Oh, we know.
Uh, so I would love to do a Dazzler comic.
I mean, I mean, we'll get into this in the next episode, but it's like I love the X-Men and stuff, but it just seems like there's so many characters now that it seems like it's hard for a lot of them to shine just because there's such a big collection of characters there now.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was that's like my thing. I'm like, they need to like pare it down soon, just so we can focus on more, certain characters.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I mean, we could talk about this later. I think that's part of what M Day tried to do, but
Mm,
it kind of backfired. To
yeah,
I'm not sure if that's the right word, but it was tough to tell stories in the wake of, and there were people that we wanted to see again that were gone. So
yeah, they kind of went too far in the opposite direction.
it's kind of hard to do something that big when you've got creators, each of whom have characters that they have stories for, and um, I would not enjoy being in charge of that.
All right, let's get to this Ghost Rider novel because, like I said, I was very interested. I mean, the Ghost Rider brought me in, and then the rest of the characters, kept me here. I love
Yeah,
this. Did you pick this? Like, it's set in this era, when Johnny's tracking down Satan. He would help. He was Johnny to escape hell and stuff. Did you pick this era so you could use Jennifer Kale and the others, or why did you pick this era?
yeah, it kind of all came together. I knew I wanted to pitch. You get to pitch three ideas at one time, and I
Hmm.
knew I wanted one of them to be Ghost Rider. And part of the directive is from Marvel, is to write about characters who haven't gotten
Hmm.
their time in the sun. And I think Jennifer Kale, and really the whole Witches trio, definitely fit that bill. Witches was a miniseries that I had super high hopes for. I To this day I don't remember who first told me about it, but they pitched it to me as Charlie's Angels, but with Marvel Mystics,
Oh,
and I want to cram that in my brain hole. Like I that is a thing that I want,
oh,
and the fact that it was short, I wanted more. um so a lot of my books are really self-serving because I love Ghost Rider, I wanted more of that, and I love the Witches, I want more of that. And the fact that Jennifer and Johnny are cousins
hmm.
gave me a bridge to put the two together. And kind of looking at when the Witches were set is part of what drew me to. um, I picked part of the Vicious Cycle storyline from Ghost Rider, which they're fairly close to each other timeline wise. Um, and although the Aconite books are not um, canon from 616, what we say is we're about as close to that as you can get. So if we had a number, maybe we'd be 618.
Oh,
Um, Not official number, but if we're going to stake a claim and put our Aconite flag on it, maybe that's what the number we would pick. But I like my books to be as close to canon as possible. I want people who read and loved the comics the way that I did to be able to read my book and be like, oh, I remember that thing, or there's an Easter egg that I recognize, but still have it be accessible to people who haven't read those books.
I mean, I haven't read that story in a while, but it seemed pretty close to canon to me. I mean, I didn't see any inconsistencies. And again, I love that you're a fan because it's like I'm like, oh yeah, I almost forgot that they were cousins because it's been so long. And I'm glad. I mean, after so many writers write and over so many years, stuff gets like kind of pushed to the side. But I'm like, oh yeah, no one's really mentioned for a while. And in real life, that wouldn't really go away. How Johnny losing his wife and kids and stuff. It's like people
Yeah,
really don't mention that anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And it just kind of happened that all four of the characters have serious family issues. And so they're fighting literal demons and then they're fighting their figurative personal demons. And I liked that because I'm mean.
And you had two devils in this book.
I did. Marvel has all the devils, they're just everywhere.
I know. I think I hate Mephisto the most for taking Spider-Man's marriage.
You know, I think they all had their moments.
Oh yeah. But okay, again, I'm not a writer. I'm not familiar with this. So you're allowed to pitch three things, and you said they're looking for books for characters who haven't really had a chance to shine. So like, you can't go in there with like a Spider-Man pitch, and they'll be like, no, Spider-Man's everywhere. You can't be doing Spider.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, in my books, you'll see major characters in secondary roles. Like my X-Men books have Magneto and Cyclops and Emma Frost in them. And they do some pretty cool things, but the focus is on the characters who, um, who need their chance in the spotlight. And that's my job, is to give it to them.
I mean, they should be. There should be ads for these books in the comics. I never see these. If it wasn't for the internet, one of the good things that come from the internet, I learned about these books.
Yeah. Well, the line's new too.
Uh,
In fact, my X-Men book was the first book in the Xavier's Institute line. So that was Liberty and Justice for All, and that was just like a year and a half ago. So I'm hoping that as we build up speed and back issues, or backlist, that will become more visible because there's some great stuff in there. And I'm not talking about my books because that feels weird.
oh, but come on. Who's going to promote you more than yourself? Come
Fair, fair.
on. What was I going to say? But yeah, the three pitches, like, what do you have to give them? Like a couple paragraphs of like the plot. It's like, okay, here's what I'm going to do, and then they.
Yeah, yeah. It starts out short, so it's like a paragraph, and then you build on that back and forth with the editor, and then eventually it goes to Marvel. And I have this great mental image, with COVID and distance and all those things. I've never been there, but I have this great mental image of the room with all the comics
Uh,
and the people at their desks who know all the things, and I want to live in that room. But they send it to the room, whatever that form that might be in, and they tell you everything that you cannot do, and that they want changed, and you go back and forth and back and forth. So by the time I actually write the book, I've outlined it like 8 times, 10 times. So the actual process of writing is easy and fun because I've done all the heavy lifting beforehand.
is it? I'm trying to think of stuff they tell you can't do. Oh well, of course you probably can't. So you can't kill off Johnny Blaze. That's like a brand.
No,
You can't kill
I
off Bill.
wouldn't want
Oh
to.
no, I'm
God,
just saying. I'm
no.
just trying to think of some example where just like, yeah, you can't. Do any. This is a brand. You can't do anything that.
Well, it's not necessarily going off brand, because part of the reason I write these books is because I love the brand and I don't want to break it. But also, this character is being used elsewhere. This conflicts with something else that we're trying to do.
Mm.
And so there's so many different arms of Marvel's work that even though we're not in canon, I think they're trying to make a concerted effort to introduce some variability and to not stomp on what other arms are doing, which is really a mixed metaphor, but hopefully you know what I mean.
That's the person I want to talk to. It's like there's at least one or two people in the Disney organization who knows what's going on everywhere in the
Yeah,
comics, in the novels, in the TV shows, in the movie. Who knows everything? That's the person I want to talk to.
it might be a brain in a jar.
Oh, hey! I was looking at your website. I see you did actually work in a place with brains and jars, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. That was my last desk job.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So what? They're just like on the shelf, just like brains and jars.
Well, it was a lab. We studied the human form of mad cow disease.
Oh.
And so people would send us brains from all over the US, and they would get misdelivered. So there was a running gag that I would walk down the hall looking for my mind because
Ah,
it was lost. So we have made very many awful puns about that. But yeah, I mean they were in jars and preserved and frozen, and I saw a lot of brains.
that's some kind of good prank in there somewhere, delivering a brain to someone's house. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like when you were working a regular desk job, were you still writing? Were you writing then? Just
Yeah, yeah.
for fun, or were you like, okay, here's the question. Now, I know I was going to ask you, when did you decide you were going to be a writer?
Well, I wanted to write ever since I was in high school and did it as a hobby, but I figured it would remain a hobby because nobody I knew was a full-time writer. Nobody does that. That's like trying to be a basketball star or something. It just doesn't happen, right?
Mhm.
So I got desk jobs, and I just did it as a hobby. My first paid writing assignment, writing gig was in college. I wrote for a tabletop role playing game. Um, and so I just figured I'd make a little cash on the side and it would be fine. But the bug never went away. So after our twins were born, my husband and I sat down and said, daycare is pretty much eating up my entire salary. So I'm going to stay home for a couple years until they go to school full time. And if I sell a book by then, I'm not going back to work. And I have not gone back to work
Oh,
since.
nice, nice.
Yeah.
See, it happened.
Yeah. Well, and there was a lot of button chair, figure out the craft. And I'm still learning. I mean, um, I've had 20 or 21 books out.
Wow.
Yeah. And, I'm still learning new things about it. And that's what I like about the job.
That's probably a good job to have during these pandemic times too. You get to stay in your house.
Yeah. Yeah. Although my first X-Men book, um, I was scheduled to start writing it the week that my kids went on virtual school.
Uh,
I do not advise that. Uh-uh. No.
there's no there's no clear sign. It's like, okay, when I go in here and I sit down, no one bother me. I am working. I'm working.
Oh, well, I got way behind
Uh,
just because I couldn't start. Um, everybody was stressed.
oh,
Nobody knew what was going on. Um, it all turned out fine, but yeah, I would prefer not to do that again, if at all possible. Please, universe.
I think a lot of people feel that.
Yeah.
Ah, uh, trying to think. I keep feeling like I'm like getting you off course. I'm like, all right, this time we're supposed to be talking about Ghost Rider. Did I ask you is Johnny Blaze your favorite Ghost Rider?
Yes.
Okay,
You did well. You didn't ask me. Yes, he is.
okay,
Uh, he was my first Ghost Rider, and I think it's kind of like Doctor Who. It's the first one
yeah.
is the one you love, and Johnny was mine. And also, he has the bike. Um, I really would like to ride the bike.
What, the one on fire?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I feel the same. And he was my first Ghost Rider. It was kind of like technical. It was weird because it was during like that early '90s, but they had like reprinted like the last 14 issues of his original series, and I read that first.
yeah,
So while my friends were talking about Dan Ketch, I'm like, no, Johnny Blaze is awesome.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I like Danny. I like Robbie.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, and I like the idea that we're getting to see different kinds of riders. With the Year of Vengeance coming up, I'm
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
super excited. But Johnny Blaze is always going to be my favorite. He's it's I'm committed.
What did you think of the Nicolas Cage movies?
I thought the Nicolas Cage movies were very Nicolas Cagey, and if you go in wanting to see a Nicolas Cage movie, you will be quite entertained.
Yes.
Um, I'm not sure if it's the Johnny Blaze that I love, but um, there were some cool moments in it,
Hmm.
and I think it's all in what you expect when you go in.
I can't wait because they're gonna have to have him in a movie soon or a Disney Plus. I mean, Blade's coming, and they're gonna have to have Ghost Rider.
I really, I don't normally cast my books in my head, especially if they're based on comics, because I see the characters from the comics when I'm picturing it. But Johnny Blaze, I picture Keanu Reeves.
Oh, there you go. Yes.
Well, and he's a biker,
Yeah.
and I think
No.
he could do the emotional bit. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I
No. I could see that. Heck yeah.
yeah, I'd like to see that.
Definitely. Oh. Oh my God. Come on. You're a big Ghost Rider fan. Come on, Marvel. I would love to see a comic series from Carrie Harris. Come on.
What he said. That
Yes.
very.
Yes.
Which way am I pointing?
I'm a fan. The fans demand it. Come on,
That's
Marvel.
right.
Do you have a story in your head already? If you got a ongoing Johnny Blaze series?
I'd love to do more Johnny and the witches together.
Yes.
Um,
Oh, yes. Would you do the whole group if you got like a comic series?
if they let me, I also, because I think like a lot of the Marvel horror um, characters haven't really gotten their moment
Mm,
recently. So I'd love to do some Marvel horror, and bring in some of those other characters. And then through Jennifer, you can have Man Thing show up. And,
yes.
I mean, you've got Werewolf by Night could show up. And so I would really love to do that.
They seem to go in spurts. It's like they kind of like like the '90s. They had all the Midnight Sun stuff. Then they kind
Yeah.
of pulled back. Then they throw some out. Then they pull back, and it's just. I know sales slump sometimes, but it's like Ghost Rider's going to sell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I think there are still stories to be told with Ghost Rider. Sometimes I think they pull back because they've got to give things time to breathe, right?
Hmm.
The character's already died 4 times and, you know, lost 4 partners. I don't know why the number 4, but just multiple, and so you got to kind of give them a chance to recover and get some therapy.
Oh yeah. There's so many comic characters. I'm like, they need to be in therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but pretty much everybody I write about. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if you're reading the death of Doctor Strange right now, but he's technically dead. And they're teasing a new Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah.
Who do you think should be Sorcerer Supreme? Could it be Jennifer Kale?
I don't think it's Jennifer Kale. I think I'm wondering if it's Clea.
Oh,
That would be fun.
I thought
Um,
I thought they were all going to be about branding and make it like Scarlet Witch or something.
yeah, or magic.
Yes,
I mean, that's been done, but she definitely has the chops for it. But if we're gonna go for kind of a dark horse, I'm gonna go for Clea.
one of my co-hosts said, "Oh, it'll be Wong." I'm like, "No, he's too responsible, man." But Stephen Strange is very irresponsible half the time. It's like, no, Wong is too much of an adult to be Sorcerer Supreme.
Well, and also there's the question of exactly how much magic Juan is capable of,
Hmm.
and depending on what storyline you're looking at, sometimes that's not much.
Could be basically anyone because there's like a past version of Stephen Strange running around right now, with like a finite amount of life and
Yeah.
comics. I love it.
It makes me feel good about my life.
What the comic?
Yeah. Like, I don't have half this much drama. I'm doing okay.
You may be right. I mean, maybe I've been reading comics since I've been 10 years old, and I always makes me feel good. Maybe it's like, oh yeah, hey, mate, I don't have the problems these people.
Yeah.
Ah, uh, oh wait, okay. I was going to ask you. I think I already asked you the question. You said Dazzler. Who would you write about if you had the chance? Dazzler.
Yeah.
That's a good choice. I mean, I didn't see it coming, but I thought you'd go for a, you know,
Well, the way that I think about it is if I'm going to pitch something, I want to pitch something that they'll say yes to. And they don't know me. So I've thought this through. Like, I really want to do this. So I've thought it through, and I have like my beginning pitch, and then okay, I've proven myself, and now I can pitch somebody a little bigger, and
mm,
and um step by step. I just need the door.
all right. Let me test you. Okay, they say every comic book writer has this. So let me see if every, you write the novels about the characters. They say every comic book writer has a Spider-Man story in the back of their head. Do you have a Spider-Man story in your head?
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I actually I'm working on edits right now for an Avengers book,
Mm,
and that comes out in the spring, and my name is on Spider-Man's leg on the cover,
wow.
which is the coolest thing. I think it should be tattooed there permanently. Um something tells me they're not going to go for that, but I can dream. But so I got to write some Spider-Man, and that was one of the coolest things I have ever done.
Oh man, again, I'm no writer. I would love to write some Spider-Man one day, but it's like I'd be afraid. It's like, oh, am I getting the humor right? Am I, is it coming off cross well? Is that ever a thing? It's like, am I nailing the humor? Am I nailing the quippiness?
Oh yeah, every joke has been carefully scrutinized multiple times, and it probably still isn't right, which is why I'm still editing.
Oh, that'd be me. I'd be running in the next room, asking my 8-year-old, okay, can you hear this coming out of Spider-Man's mouth? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my kids are a little bit older, but they're, uh, as much as is possible, because of course there are terrifying Marvel NDAs, and if
Oh,
you break them, the ninjas come out of the ceiling and they chop off your head. Um, so there's only so much I can talk about, but I will ask my kids very, very carefully if X happened with an unnamed superhero.
if
What
unnamed
do you think?
if
Yeah.
unnamed, if unnamed superhero got off their flaming motorcycle, which
I mean, once they know who I'm like, it's been announced and they know who I'm writing about, it's a little bit easier. But yeah,
do your kids think it's cool that you write these characters, or it's just like, oh, that's bomb,
I mean, they say they do, but they're teenagers, so who knows?
so they can't show it? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I'm actually going into my twins' classroom next week, so we'll see exactly how much I can embarrass them in public.
I mean, okay, come on, that has to be cool to those kids. It's like, hey, you watch any Marvel movies? Hey, I write that stuff.
Yeah.
Write some of those books. Come
Well, and usually what happens is people are like, "Do you write this character who is my favorite? Do you write this character who is my favorite?" And it's just that's the question and answer session, the whole thing.
there'll be like 20 questions. Do you write any Loki? It's
Yeah.
like no. I mean, the X-Men got to be have to be popular, right? Like I said, Ghost Rider's is always popular.
Yeah. Well, with the Avengers coming up, actually, yes, I do
Yes.
write Loki.
Oh, oh,
Yes.
oh. What era?
Yes.
What era is that? Can you say what era that book's set in?
Well, I can say that it's a crisis protocol book. So
Uh,
there's the crisis protocol game, and it ties in with that.
Okay.
So kind of its own separate little universe with lots of fighty bits and lots of characters because that's how the game is.
So if you're writing about a game, do you have to play the game if
I
it's
play
in
the game.
background? Okay. Do you?
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Now I play it with crappy unpainted miniatures because I have a lot of talents and painting is not one of them.
Did you play it before you started writing, or did once you started writing were you like, okay, I got to try this game out?
But that one, I had the game. I can't remember if I played it before or after. I have a lot of games. I worked in the gaming industry. I play a lot of games. Um, but no, I don't know. They were right around the same time.
Wow, you've had a lot of interesting jobs. I mean, you write
Yeah.
Marvel characters, you're in the gaming industry, you got to play with human brains. I mean, what haven't you done, Carrie Harris?
Oh, I haven't. I haven't ridden a flaming motorcycle in a circus, which is really an oversight on my part, I think.
Oh my, the circus. They need to have that in a movie or something. Just him and that traveling around in a traveling circus.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
that's a whole series.
I mean you could even adapt some of those like last issues of his series. I mean him versus the Circus of Crime. Any of that stuff. Oh my
Well, and I did put a circus in
god.
the Witches
Yeah.
partially for that reason.
Mm.
Because Johnny has a circus thing. He's always dealing with circuses, so here's another circus.
And can I just say the one thing I didn't like about this book is the jerk in the circus is named Phil. Thank you very much.
I have a baby name book and I picked those names randomly.
Oh
And
really?
actually, I lost it when we moved. We just moved cross country this summer. And so for my birthday, I asked for a new baby name book and I opened it. I explained it to my husband. This is why I want it. And I opened it and I look over, and all three of my teenagers are trying so hard to smile, but they have looks of horror because they thought it was real, that I needed it and not for my books. So it traumatized my children.
No, it's research.
It's for my books, I swear. Yeah, but I opened the door and opened the door, opened the cover, and
Just went.
yep. So it's nothing personal, I swear.
I know. But again, it was a great book because I was like, ooh, could we see more of these characters, or even like the first chapter? I'm like, oh man, I want to see more. I want to see him more in this military base. I want to see all that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, if you threw in everything I wanted, this book could be like 600 pages. I mean,
Well, and I think that was part of the reason why I chose that era was because Johnny is hunting down all of these fragments of Lucifer, and then in the comics you only get to see I don't know, maybe 20 of them.
yeah, out
I
of
mean,
like
it's
666. Yeah,
yeah, it's not that many. And so, the line is called Marvel Untold. It's untold stories from your favorite character's past. And so I wanted to see a couple more shards.
I mean, this book. I mean, I'm sure that maybe this book is just its own self-contained thing, but I'm like, man, you could have made a whole series out of this. It's like, okay, then the four of them are going to move on to the next.
Hmm.
Travel the
Well,
country, find the next one.
yeah, and in the comics, what happens with like the last four. I don't know exactly the number, but the last few are very clearly defined.
Yeah.
So I walked back just a couple more before that, um, and just to see what happens.
But yeah, no, it was excellent. All right. I think I'm going to cut this here again. We're going to do this again. Well, for us, it'll be in a few minutes here. But yes, kids, and if you're listening to us on the podcast in 2 weeks, Carrie will be back to talk her story in the Xavier Institute School of X book, and we're definitely going to get into some Kitty Pride fanfic.
Kitty Pride.
All right, so since these are going to be two separate episodes, please promote whatever you want. Your books, your website, social media, whatever you want to do.
Well, the best place to find me online is on my Twitter, which is Carharr, Carrharr. That's where I go when I'm trying to avoid writing my words for the day. But you can also find a listing of all my books at carrieharrisbooks.com.
Ooh, Nice. And again, there's an Avengers book coming soon.
Yep. School of X just came out when we're recording this. It just
Yes.
came out on ebook, and later in December it will be out in paperback.
Ooh, nice. All right. Well, thank you, Carrie Harris. Again, kids, she'll be back. So
You can't escape me yet.
that's right. All right, kids, take it easy.